This is Markin Out. Pro wrestling talk by pro wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Follow on Twitter. Pro wrestling talk by pro wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Marking out. Pro wrestling talk by pro wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Brennan likes fisting. Pro wrestling talk by pro wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. We're marking out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling Fans.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new episode of Markin Out, Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling Fans. This is episode 692. Thank you so much for tuning in. Of course, you could listen all over the internet and interwebs on markinout.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, YouTube as well. I am Brandon. You can follow me on Twitter at BTTG161. Also Instagram, BTTG161. Chris, you can follow at Chris Sweendog and CM Sweeney85. And of course, David, you can follow at DavidPTDPT on all platforms. If you'd like to purchase some merchandise, you can head over to ProWrestlingTees.com/markinout. TikTok at markinout. Also, Facebook.com/markinout. But like I said, I'm Brandon. I'm doing awesome as always. I am joined here by Dave. Dave, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right, to be honest with you. Doing all right.
Why just all right?
Well, because I'm coming to reality that the American crowd sucks for pro wrestling events.
Well, but it also, the French only get events like once a year, less than.
So then we're just being catered to too much. We got to stop. Because
Not really.
we're becoming very ungrateful, and we don't respond to the wrestlers or the theme songs like our friends over in France do. And the reality of that we are going to be returning to quiet during Randy Orton's entrance, and nobody's singing along to the theme songs. It's sad. It's sad.
Well, how was your week?
Besides that, it was good. Yours was good?
Yeah, my dad was in town for a wedding, so I was able to see him twice, and I had all the intentions of making sloppy joes from scratch, but when I went to do so, the meat ended up being open and bad, which really sucked because I was looking forward to making those sloppy joes. But I had already diced up the onions and peppers, so I decided to make potato salad instead. So that was at least good. It's a positive from that experience.
That's a big positive, I'd say.
I also tried barbecue Doritos for the first time. I've been wanting to try them for a while now. Have you ever had them?
No, I have not.
I think what's really crazy, I think I might say they're better than Cool Ranch Dorito, and those are my favorite. So,
those are your favorite?
Yeah, I like the nacho cheese, but I'm a Cool Ranch. I'm a Cooler Ranch guy also.
I like the Cool Ranch.
Yeah,
Cool Ranch is always good.
And then I spent my birthday watching Taylor Swift live in Paris via TikTok.
Nice. That's always fun, and happy birthday, Brandon.
Thank you.
Happy bar mitzvah day.
No, that was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
For David. Oh, sorry, I forgot to do that.
Oh yeah, for you. Yes, your bar mitzvah.
Yes, and
but we don't speak of that anymore because of what happened.
Yes, the sunny. We'll just say the sunny incident. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
But yeah, awesome.
It was cool. Yeah, Taylor Swift added the Tortured Poets department to the set list, so that was pretty cool. But other than that, hopefully gonna have cake. I'm not sure yet.
Cake would be great.
Yeah, but we did have Backlash taking place in Lyon, France. And much like the SmackDown crowd, this crowd, you said it before, it was nuts. It was absolutely insane.
Yeah, it was definitely something very special.
Yeah. Which I think we might have had a better crowd here than in Puerto Rico.
I would agree.
And that was a really good crowd as well.
Yeah, that crowd was just incredible, and this one too,
Yeah, but it kicked off with the Bloodline taking on RKO, the Bloodline being Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga, making his first in-ring on television match appearance, because he did wrestle live events. But they brawled before the match, and it was broken up by security, producers, officials, and Nick Aldis, the general manager of SmackDown, came out and made it a street fight, which the crowd exploded when they made that announcement. And it was super chaotic. I do think, by the way, on the kickoff show, I thought it was pretty cool to hear Big E, and even on the actual event, CM Punk, when Big E brought it up, was like blown away. But Corey Graves and Michael Cole spoke about it on the actual event as well, and brought up Bullet Club and New Japan Pro Wrestling. And at one point in WWE, we would not have been able to hear stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that this was amazing. I didn't know what to expect with the crowd, but they were so hot from the start, and this breakdown from the beginning of them just brawling, it was intense. You knew from the moment that they didn't even go face to face for that long. It was face to face, eye to eye for 2 seconds before they even started to throw blows at each other. The crowd singing along to Randy Orton's theme song was incredible. But yeah, as you made mention, this went into a match that was set to be the no DQ, and I loved it. I thought that this match was so much fun. The crowd elevated this entire matchup for me as well. But yeah.
Yeah, I liked when Kevin Owens did the bridge of chairs and then the Fisherman Buster from the, middle turnbuckle, I guess. And then Kevin Owens went and pinned Tama, I think it was Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa showed up and pulled the referee out, and he hit both Randy Orton and Kevin Owens with the steel steps. And then Solo got the victory off of that. But him showing up completely unexpected, that gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that this was great. And to every person out there wanting to bash his debut and say that it was botched and this and that, he missed his cue and this and that, you can't see it on camera. So to me, it wasn't that bad.
Seeing that other angle completely blows me away, because on screen, it's like, it's perfect. It's flawless. So I thought that was fantastic. We all thought it was going to be Jacob Fatu showing up.
Yeah, that was the biggest swerve, that he didn't show up.
And some people were like, oh my God, Jacob Fatu is here. Not realizing that that's not Jacob Fatu, because all they've been hearing for weeks is Jacob Fatu. Nobody knew that Tonga Loa's contract was up with New Japan.
Yeah, I didn't even see his name get brought up anywhere.
Not at all. I guess they quietly let it expire, and they didn't bring it up or anything. And now the Gorillas of Destiny are in WWE. Tonga Loa's last appearance for WWE was losing to Adam Rose at NXT TakeOver in May 2014. So it's been 10 years since he's been on screen for WWE. Many people still to this day don't even know that he was Camacho.
Yeah, Camacho and Unico.
So I'm happy to see him back. There's always that clip that goes around of Tonga Loa, of him doing those goofy chops.
Oh, I saw that. That was awful.
But I think that's just that style in Japan that they do. They literally do those. Like, that's
no, not to that level of crappiness.
Yes, they do though. I don't know the context of that clip though, but yeah, those.
That was just
I hope
crappy.
I hope to never see those in WWE. But
nobody should ever.
But that's what they do. You see it on screen in AEW all the time, and it's so annoying.
Those chops should just retire. Like, it should just be done with.
You know what it reminded me of was, it was 2008, 2000, I think maybe 2008 or 2009, Snuka. I hate to bring him up, but like back when he was like way past prime, and he like came back and did that stuff, like That's what it looked like when he would do his chops. And then obviously people would sell, but
hey, I've never seen a matchup, a tag team matchup of theirs.
What? What do you mean? We saw them wrestle live.
Well, not Gorillas of whatever, Destiny or Dynasty.
Gorillas of Destiny?
Yeah, I've never seen them, seen a match of theirs before.
Yes.
But they were
We saw them wrestle
Pro
live.
Wrestling champions.
Yeah, we saw them wrestle and win the IWGP Tag Team Championships with the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships.
I don't remember.
At G1 Supercard, they beat Villain Enterprise, they beat Los Ingobernables de Japan, and they beat the Briscoes.
Yeah, it's a blur to me, brother. But yeah, besides that match that apparently I saw, I've never seen another match above theirs. But apparently they're really good as a tag team.
Again, though, it's like Gorillas of Destiny might have been much better a few years ago, but if they're like ready and in shape and everything and good to go, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
After that, we saw Bayley pick up the victory, successfully retaining the women's championship against Naomi and Tiffany Stratton. I thought this was a fun match. I liked when Tiffany Stratton at one point went to hit that prettiest moonsault ever on Bayley and Naomi at the same time. They both rolled out of the way, and then they end up hitting her with the 1D or 3D, whatever you want to call it. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then Bayley, I guess, I would say she kind of got the win out of nowhere. So, because Naomi pinned Bayley, and then Bayley reversed it and got that quick victory. So I'm fine with Bayley winning. I'm happy that she won. And I thought, like I said, it was a fun match.
Yeah, I thought that it was very fitting for Bayley to win. The crowd, once again, fully hot for this match. We had the return of the Hey Bayley chants. And I thought Tiffany Stratton really stood out in this matchup too.
I'm annoyed, by the way. Somebody, during WrestleMania season, somebody posted gear. And everyone's like, oh my God, who's this gear for? It has to be for so-and-so. It has to be for this person, that person. And then WrestleMania comes along. Nobody used the gear. No idea what the gear was for. This event rolls around. Oh my God, this gear is incredible. Who's this gonna be? It has to be for Tiffany Stratton. It had like the Eiffel Tower leading up to the neckline and everything. It looked super dope. It was in like the French flag colors. Nobody used that either. So I'm assuming somebody's out there making fake gear that's not being used for WWE, and they're just getting views off of that. Off of like hype and stuff of like who might be wearing this, and then nobody's in these gears. I think that's weird that happened for WrestleMania and now Backlash again. So, but yeah, Bayley retains. After that, we had Damian Priest retain the championship against Jey Uso. The Bloodline actually met up with Jey Uso and stared him down beforehand. And Paul Heyman and Jey Uso have that like special connection where it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those things like Paul Heyman's don't look at me. I have no control over this. I don't know what's happening.
And then that look made everyone say, oh my God, Jacob Fatu is showing up during this match to cost him the championship. Or to cost him the chance at winning that title. Which obviously didn't happen. But Jay's entrance was awesome. A clip from after SmackDown of him wrestling on a dark match like popped up after SmackDown was taped, and the crowd was like insane. They were doing his taunt. They had their cell phones out and everything, bouncing their arms, and I'm like, I'm super psyched to see this on Backlash. And then they had Jey Uso come through the crowd for this. And the fans did everything like they did in that dark match clip. And I thought that was so cool.
It was awesome.
I think it blows Sami Zayn's Montreal appearance out.
Yeah, this was just awesome.
And then they showed, I think it must have been the Cleveland, is it the Cavaliers? Is that a basketball team? I think they showed at the Cavs game the fans were doing that as well. SummerSlam's in Cleveland this year, so I think they were
hyping them up.
Yeah, they played that, and you didn't have the whole crowd like you had in France, but it was still something. I thought that was cool as well.
Yeah.
But in this match, we saw JD McDonough show up behind the referee's back to shake the rope and get Jey Uso off of it. And it gave Damian Priest a bit of an advantage, but Jey Uso kicked out. And Damian Priest was pissed off that JD McDonough was there. And Jey ends up kicking JD McDonough off the apron. He kicked Damian Priest, hit an Uso splash, and Priest kicked out of that and kept going. And when he went for another Uso splash later on, Finn Balor shows up. And Jey shakes him off. He kicks him out to the side. Eats a clothesline from Damian Priest. And Priest hit South of Heaven, which Jey kicked out of. I was not expecting that. He hit another one later on, and JD McDonough ends up getting Damian Priest's foot on the rope. Another splash, and he gets the foot on the rope. That has to break the count. And Jey ends up going out of the ring, takes out JD McDonough. He takes out Finn Balor. And then Damian Priest, he gets back in, hits that South of Heaven from the middle rope and picks up the victory. And Finn Balor and JD McDonough, they jump in. They jump Jey Uso afterwards. And Damian Priest is furious with them. I think at one point he might have even choked Finn Balor.
I don't think he choked him. I think he just gave shoves and got really close to them, saying don't not to beat him up.
That was interesting.
Yeah, I didn't understand that. It's as if they're starting to maybe do a face turn for Priest, but it doesn't. I don't know. I don't know if I would go with the face turn on Priest right now.
I don't know if we'll see that though.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's where. Otherwise, if you don't face turn Priest, it doesn't make sense unless it's just the start of the demise of Judgment Day without Rhea Ripley, and then it's showing that they just can't remain as a stable unit without Rhea Ripley being there as their leader.
Not to jump ahead, but on Monday Night Raw when they opened the show, Finn Balor, his eyes kind of wander down to that championship. So maybe we will see some infighting in the Judgment Day there.
Yeah, I'm just going to say it now, but even Liv Morgan, they put out a photo shoot of her, and it just so happens that it's tucked, hidden away in one of her pockets of a picture is Dirty Dom's bandana. So
which we didn't talk about last week, I don't think, is they were caught in the background of a segment of Liv Morgan leaving a room, and then a few seconds go by and Dominic left the room.
Yeah, so this is just piggybacking upon that, and I guess we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah.
But next up, you had Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair pick up the victory over the Kabuki Warriors to become the new tag team champions. The crowd was fully behind Belair and Cargill. I like this matchup.
They have moves together, they have taunts together, and I think they feel like a real team despite barely tagging.
Mm-hmm.
So, although this match itself was not the greatest, there was a point where the referee lost all controls and over the Kabuki Warriors, and I didn't fully mind because commentary explained that if they got disqualified, they'd still be champions. So at least that to me makes sense that all that chaos, the Kabuki Warriors don't care if they lose. But there were other spots later on. It seemed like Kyrie, I think, was in the ring, and there was confusion about who was legal. Jade Cargill, unfortunately, looked lost during that time. But I think being with Bianca Belair will be very good for her. Being able to learn from her.
I agree. I think that is very important. So I know I reference a lot of Busted Open, just because sometimes I don't think of it on my own. But they brought up the fact how The Rock, when he got brought up, he was under the learning tree of Ron Simmons, you know? And I think that they mentioned how Jade Cargill, with her being, I do believe that Jade Cargill, it's tough for her to be a face because she being like a superwoman, a woman kind of a physique and overpowering everybody. I feel like she screams dominance, and that dominance to me screams heel at times. So pairing her up with Bianca Belair, who's an uber face, fairly experienced now, I feel like she's going to grow a lot with Bianca Belair in that pairing, especially because there would be nothing for Jade Cargill to excel in a singles run right now. Right. It made sense to me.
And also, I have to say, people are like, oh, she's doing the same exact things she did in AEW. And it's like, if you compare, granted, she only did it one time in AEW, but if you compare the Jaded that she hit on Kairi Sane to the one that she hit on Sky Blue, which was the same setup, it was so much smoother on Kairi.
Mm-hmm.
So, which I didn't like when she did it to Sky Blue because it just took too long. And I know I'm in the minority of not liking that whole setup. It took too long for this Kairi thing as well. But it was much better and not as slow. So you can't say she didn't improve at all. So
yeah.
After that, the main event saw Cody Rhodes pick up the victory over AJ Styles to retain the WWE Championship. AJ Styles, I popped big time. He wore purple to tie it into his match that he had against Dusty Rhodes when he retained the NWA Championship in TNA. So I thought that was a really cool callback there. We also got more Bullet Club talk during this, which the internet... this happened, I forget what event it was in the past, but Michael Cole referenced Cody Rhodes as a former leader of Bullet Club, AJ Styles as well. And the internet, they get so pissed off at that because, Cody Rhodes wasn't a leader of Bullet Club, blah, blah, blah. But really, when you go back to that time, he was the unofficial leader of Bullet Club.
Yeah.
New Japan even puts it out saying that he was an unofficial leader. Everything that was going on between Kenny, everything that was going on between Cody, the whole Bullet Club is fine thing, Cody was 100% an unofficial leader. So to jump down Michael Cole's throat for saying that, oh, look at that, he's referencing something he doesn't know. No, he's referencing something that he does know. Cody was an unofficial leader of Bullet Club. I also, in this match, though, I liked the Stardust tease that Cody did because AJ Styles, I didn't bring it up for SmackDown last week, AJ Styles teased him with Stardust. So I like that. Like AJ did the Stardust hand gimmick, which is why Cody did it in this match as well. But they had a lot of good back and forth. I liked when AJ went for that sliding knee off the apron and Cody Rhodes caught him and powerbombed him through the French commentary table. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought at one point I would have marked out big time. I thought we were going to see AJ Styles hit a tombstone on Cody, but they were just reversing moves at that point. But I thought this was a really good match. A lot of people said this match was going to be mid. And I think it was a huge bam roasted to anybody because this was you look at the card, you may not think so. I thought this was a very solid event from WWE for PLE. Only 5 matches. I thought this was very well done.
Yeah, I thought that this was a great match. I totally marked out for that entire intro for AJ Styles with the phenomenal chant by the fans. It was so loud that the camera was shaking.
Cody Rhodes' entrance as well. And they had that other, like they did on SmackDown, they had that noise warning on the Apple Watches pop up.
Yeah, at first when I saw that, I thought that was okay, that's a little bit extreme. Come on now. But then the event started. I'm like, wow, okay, I get it.
It's like, what is it, Seattle? The Seahawks have the loudest football stadium in the world or something?
Mm-hmm.
Like the decibels are deafening. So that's WWE Backlash. Moving over to Monday Night Raw. I didn't know if you were going to do it or not.
Nah.
The Judgment Day, like I said before, opened the show. And Damian Priest went to speak about Backlash. And Finn Balor said that they apologize. And Damian Priest accepted it. But he wanted to talk about him losing his cool after the match. To which Damian Priest apologized for. And then he hyped up the King of the Ring. Finn Balor thought he would get a bye because Drew McIntyre wasn't cleared. And then it was announced that Jey Uso would be replacing him. And they had that match right then and there where Jey Uso picked up the victory over Finn Balor to advance in the King of the Ring tournament. There's like so many different things here because when the King of the Ring was announced and Gunther declared himself, I'm like, it has to be Gunther who goes through and wins.
Yeah.
But now Jey Uso's in it. Now Tama Tonga. We don't know if he advances. Obviously, by the time you listen to this, you will know. I have to assume it could also come down to Jey Uso versus Tama Tonga. That's a pretty big match I think could be a finals for the King of the Ring.
Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns with this, and it's nice to have all of these unknowns.
But I thought this was a decent match. Drew McIntyre showed up towards the end, and it served as a temporary distraction. Jey Uso was still able to hit that second spear and get the victory over Finn Balor. But McIntyre gets in the ring afterwards. Jey ran off. And then later on, we see Finn Balor apologizing for losing to the Judgment Day. Dominic Mysterio brought Carlito in, and Damian Priest was pissed off at that because it was a year to the day that Carlito cost him his match against Bad Bunny at Backlash. And Carlito's just like, that's the past is the past, man. And it basically like, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. And Damian Priest made him leave.
Meh.
What happens with that? Not sure. Drew McIntyre on the other side was super angry with Adam Pearce. And Pearce said that nobody knew he was injured until Drew McIntyre brought it up himself. He told on himself, basically.
He totally, he gave himself up.
So McIntyre pulls off, and right behind him is CM Punk. And he's like, oh, I don't know if he mentioned where's Drew McIntyre or whatever. And he's like, you just missed him, thank God. He just left. And Punk eventually tells Adam Pearce to hit his music. And CM Punk goes to the ring. He mentioned being locked in WWE headquarters over the weekend, which I thought was very funny. I don't know if it's like a shoot or not.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. And I mean, he also found the card of the WrestleMania he was supposed to face Triple H at too.
Yeah, WrestleMania 30. Which, on that card, Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus is certainly a choice to have again. Especially when we know that main event that year, Daniel Bryan, Yes-Lemania beat Randy Orton and Batista. So that would have been crazy had CM Punk left or stayed, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what would have been of that? We probably wouldn't have gotten Daniel Bryan's moment.
Huh. Never thought about that one.
But CM Punk basically said he wants a fight with Drew McIntyre, but Drew left. And he wanted everyone to tweet Drew McIntyre so he would come back and face him. He brought up the history with the Royal Rumble and his injury, etc. Drew McIntyre didn't show back up.
And so this, I kind of didn't. I feel like they could have done this a little bit differently. Like, I don't think that CM Punk had to call him out to come meet him in the ring.
It started strong, finished.
Yeah. I agree. I thought that the fun part was Drew McIntyre driving off and then CM Punk driving right in.
Yeah.
And I feel like right there, you could have done a little bit more. And then I feel like it just started to fall a bit during the promo itself. But next up, you had Io Sky pick up the victory over Natalya to advance in the Queen of the Ring tournament.
It's
matchup.
crazy that this was their first singles match.
Huh. That's weird.
And I like that Natalya dedicated this match to Owen Hart. It's always great to hear Owen's name on television. But Dakota Kai got involved, which allowed for Io to take over. And eventually Natty lost the match, which I wish she was able to win, given that it was dedicated to Owen. But there was no way that Io was losing this match.
Yeah.
So, and then Dakota Kai spoke afterwards about Damage Control taking over Monday Night Raw 2 years ago by taking Becky Lynch out, and now they're back on Monday Night Raw, and they're putting everyone on notice, and they're taking everything. And
they're back.
Yeah. After that, Ilya Dragunov picked up the victory over Ricochet to advance in the King of the Ring tournament. They aired a video package, very well done video package for Dragunov before this match. Ricochet was interviewed earlier, which involved Braun Strowman. But Ricochet was a great opponent for Ilya Dragunov to have here.
I like this match. It was hard to see Dragunov losing this, though.
Yeah, there was no way.
Yeah, it was very hard to see Dragunov losing this.
The barrage of dives that Ricochet did, I thought was dope. But overall, the whole match I thought was dope. So,
yeah,
very well done.
Mm-hmm.
After that, Zoe Stark picked up the victory over Ivy Nile to advance in the Queen of the Ring tournament. I liked the bulldog that Ivy hit from the top rope. But some of this match kind of seemed like there were some miscommunications in it.
Yeah.
Not the best first round for Zoe Stark.
Yeah, but it's as if their communication just wasn't really working in this matchup.
Yeah. After that, we had R-Truth and Adam Pearce, and R-Truth was pitching a champion versus champion thing, and he brought out the UConn coach, the Huskies, and he thought they were an indie promotion, which I thought was hilarious. And then Braun Breaker showed up to ask Adam Pearce why he wasn't part of the King of the Ring tournament, and he goes, "Go to my office, we'll talk." And they pan up to a Huskies logo. So with trading a thing that were rumors of trades with the draft, I'm thinking we will see the Wolf Dogs reunite. Because right now, you really don't have a singles thing for Braun Breaker to do. Tag team, you could find something. So here's hoping that the Wolf Dogs return.
And I used to, I think we spoke about it last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever the draft happened, and I didn't really want the Wolf Dogs back together, because I want to see...
It was last week.
Yeah, Braun Breaker going off on to doing his own thing, I feel like would be better, but, for the time being, maybe tossing them together wouldn't be a bad thing.
The match the other week that he had was not really 3 seconds long, but it doesn't do anything for Braun Breaker to me at that, to have that.
Mm-hmm.
After that, we saw Chad Gable versus Bronson Reed go to a no contest because that no good Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn showed up and attacked both of them. And it led to Bronson Reed standing on top again. And Adam Pearce was annoyed, and later on, Sami Zayn was interviewed and sets up a triple threat match for the championship at King and Queen of the Ring.
Mm.
So, I don't think we'll see Sami Zayn lose the title. But I wouldn't mind if he did.
I don't know. I kind of could see him losing it.
I don't know. Yeah. I'm here for whatever outcome. I like Sami Zayn, so.
Mm-hmm.
But I would prefer for Chad Gable to be that champion more. Also, I think it's so goofy. Sometimes you see these tweets that pop up on your timeline there's like a whole crowd of people who trash Bronson Reed and say the only reason why he's famous is because of Okada. Oh, he's really living off that match with a big win over Okada. And it's like, if you watch him perform in the ring, it speaks for itself.
Yeah, he was solid with NXT before he was let go, and he was solid before NXT on the independent market, and he was solid in Japan.
Yeah.
I mean, he picked up his victory over Okada, but realistically, his victory over Okada didn't get him a job back with the WWE.
No, not at all.
I mean,
0% did that have anything to do with that.
Yeah, I don't think that his victory over Okada did all that much at all. I think that he did it all
Yeah,
on his
honestly,
own.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
But after that, we had a Becky Lynch in-ring interview. And Michael Cole first asked her about her outfit from the Kentucky Derby. I guess just to make mention that her and Seth Rollins were at the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, Seth Rollins looking like he could pull off the Stone Cold Steve Austin look.
Which, yeah, when the pictures first surfaced, I thought, I was scrolling through Twitter and I thought it was Claudio. But it was very much so Seth Rollins. And they were there because they were announcing that WrestleMania 41 will be in Las Vegas, Nevada next year, April 19th and 20th. The last 2 nights of Passover, the Easter Sunday, 420 for those people who celebrate that. This would be a crazy WrestleMania for Las Vegas, I'm sure. But they spoke about the Kentucky Derby. He also asked Becky Lynch who she wants to face. So she hyped up all the new faces on Monday Night Raw. She put Alba Fire over big time, bringing up how she's the longest reigning champion in modern era because of the NXT UK Women's Championship. And I think it's really cool. We saw it the other week on, I don't know if it was SmackDown, NXT. No, it had to have been on NXT when we saw NXT UK kind of like stand tall together. But I like that they brought NXT UK up here because there was a time where NXT UK wasn't really brought up on television. So I like that. Isla Dawn was mentioned by Becky Lynch. Lyra Valkyria was mentioned. And Zelina Vega was also mentioned. But Michael Cole brought up WrestleMania and her being sick. And of course, losing to Rhea Ripley. But Becky Lynch, she shut that down right away. She said, no, the better woman won. So she's even as champion right now, she didn't beat Rhea Ripley for this championship. She's still putting Rhea Ripley over, though.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's really cool. Liv Morgan showed up. I think she cut one hell of a promo here about her accolades and beating Nia Jax and taking Rhea Ripley out. And she spoke about the respect that Becky Lynch doesn't show her. And she said at King and Queen of the Ring, Liv Morgan's got her title shot. And Liv basically said she's taken everything from Rhea. And that includes the championship that Becky Lynch currently holds. And then we saw Damage Control show up. And this I thought was a very cool moment because they show up and surround the ring. Dakota Kai said that Liv Morgan hasn't earned anything. She brings up Queen of the Ring herself, and they surround that ring, and it looks like Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan are about to fight off Damage Control together.
And then she pressed that escape button real quick.
And then, of course, Damage Control jumped Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
And Lyra Valkyria made the save there. But I thought for a split second when Liv Morgan was back to back, ready to brawl with Becky Lynch and fight aside her, I thought we were about to see Liv Morgan step up and be the new leader of Damage Control.
Huh.
Didn't happen.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
But like I said, Lyra made the save, and we go into the match. Lyra Valkyria, I think, is winning this. Picks up the victory over Dakota Kai to advance advance in the Queen of the Ring tournament. She also had a video package air for her, which is this is something you need. You need video packages to introduce people when you're not so familiar with them.
Yes.
Asuka was supposed to be in this match, but she's unfortunately injured. She apparently worked all those the live events and Backlash really injured. I don't know what the injury was, but it's unfortunate that she's out and wasn't able to face Lyra Valkyria. I was very much so looking forward to that match. But I like this match that the springboard curb stomp that Dakota Kai hit.
That was awesome.
When Lyra was draped on the ropes. That was probably my favorite part of this match. But the match, I think, went longer than I expected it to. So that, I think, is a positive.
Mm-hmm.
But I, right now, can't see anybody else winning the Queen of the Ring except for Lyra Valkyria.
I don't know. I kind of feel like it's tough to call that one. I don't know if I would... Yeah, it's tough to call the Queen of the Ring right now. I can't even see...
I mean, it was tough to call King of the Ring as well.
Being it. Yeah, I just can't see Lyra Valkyria winning the Queen of the Ring.
I think we might have our Queen of the Ring.
After
that, the main event saw Gunther pick up the victory over Sheamus to advance in the King of the Ring. And I think it is very safe to say this was another banger.
Banger after banger.
That's not really an Irish accent there.
Well, you told me never to do an accent.
Sound like
again.
Rocco.
You know?
Banger hiff. But Ludwig Kaiser got involved behind the referee's back. And the referee ends up making him leave. This was a very, very controversial spot on Twitter because people were like, why was that not a DQ? I know you said it yourself. I thought maybe it as well. I went and rewound the spot. The referee does not see Kaiser hit Sheamus. What he sees, he could assume that he might have hit Sheamus. But what he sees is Sheamus fall over and Kaiser backs up. He doesn't actually see Sheamus get hit by Kaiser because Gunther was distracting him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very clear if you go watch the video, there's no argument to be had there. And people were arguing all over Twitter on Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah,
there's video footage that backs up that the referee did not see the actual hit.
Mm-hmm.
But he ends up getting kicked out from ringside. And it seems like the only time that maybe Gunther cheats is maybe against Sheamus. I think we saw this one other time from Gunther, so...
Yeah, and
I think
he even brought that up.
And I think he's 3-0 over Sheamus now?
Yeah, he's 3-0 against Sheamus, but Sheamus brought up how he never had to cheat to win.
Yeah. But Gunther worked on Sheamus's knee throughout the match and locked in that single crab to get the victory there.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to end on a crab like that, but...
No, I thought he was going to do the STF again.
Yeah. I did Sheamus's chest was beat.
Forget about Sheamus's chest, his back.
Oh yeah, his back.
That backhand, jeez.
Just, yeah. Crushed.
Very well done from both of them, though. Moving over to NXT, we saw Wes Lee pick up the victory over Josh Briggs. They aired a video package for Wes Lee about his injury, his return, and everyone backstage cheered him on while he was tearing up on his way to the ring. As far as the actual match goes, Ivar showed up during it. But it's very good to see Wes Lee back.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to see in this match, we saw Josh Briggs working Wes Lee's back, which is why he was out for the time he was out. I thought that
smart
was
to involve that back during the matchup.
Yeah.
But no way was Wes Lee losing this match.
And we saw Wes Lee dropkick Josh Briggs into Ivar at one point, and he basically got the win right after that. But Ivar and Josh Briggs brawled afterwards. Wes Lee jumped onto both of them. And the stuff, even his entrance, still doing the same exact entrance he was doing. The stuff in this match, coming off of back surgery, major back surgery where you don't know if you're going to actually be able to return, absolutely insane. And Obafemi overwatched everything. Is that the correct term? Probably not. Watched on. Looked on.
Saw
everything.
Watched on.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But he was there. So we're probably going to get that match soon.
Yeah. I think that's going to be something to look forward to.
After that, we saw Shayna Baszler pick up the victory over Carmen Petrovic. I like right off the gate, Petrovic was ready to fight. She backed Shayna into the corner with like I don't know what, they might have an actual name for it in martial arts or whatever. But she's doing that like as if she's about to kick Shayna Baszler. She's prepared for kicking her. All the way into the corner. Shayna Baszler, though, just stood there all nonchalant. She couldn't care less about that. So I thought that was cool. It showed Shayna Baszler is like a badass. She doesn't really think that Carmen Petrovic can do the damage to her. But we did see Petrovic get some good moves in.
Yeah, we saw her get some offense, but I think it was obvious that Shayna Baszler was going to be the one walking away with that victory.
Yeah, Baszler smashed Petrovic's arm into the ring frame and then worked on it throughout the match. And Petrovic at one time went for a dive off the top rope, and Shayna Baszler caught her with the Kirifuda clutch to pick up the victory off of that.
Yeah.
After that, Tyson DuPont and Tyreek Igwe picked up the victory over No Quarter Catch Crew. This was a very funny segment because Luca Crucifino shows up with two guys unknown, obviously part of the D'Angelo family. The referee, it has come to our attention, is not available. And we have a special guest to fill in, and it turns out to be Stax. And we saw Miles Bourne and Charlie Dempsey in this match against Tyson and Tyreek. And I thought it was another good showing for them. But
yeah, I'm glad that they got the victory this week too.
But Stax being the referee was hilarious because he's obviously working and he's out there to cost No Quarter Catch Crew the match, which Charlie Dempsey was annoyed at, and he pushed Stax. Stax ends up clocking Charlie Dempsey and did maybe one of the fastest 3 counts in the history of WWE. And then later on, they had an X exclusive or whatever, Twitter exclusive. They open up a freezer outside, and the referee is in there shirtless, freezing. And Stax takes off the shirt. He goes, "Put this back on." So, unavailable, he was out in a freezer. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, they're doing good things with all of them, with Stax and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised that they didn't separate them or bring them up together for the main roster with the draft.
I don't know how the D'Angelo family translates to the main roster yet.
Okay.
Because it's like, to me, it could very easily turn into one of those like Adam Rose or No Way Jose sort of things.
Uh-huh.
I think the sort of hokey gimmick stuff can do very well in NXT.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how well it would do on the main roster yet.
Yeah.
Although people were popping when Wendy Chu was in the Rumble, so who knows?
That's true.
Which,
Very
by
true.
the way, there was a tease for her this week, which was really funny. It was literally just... I'm not going to continue to snore, but...
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen her and stuff like that, but...
Which is really funny that, obviously, it was unfortunate that she was out injured, but if it just turns out she was asleep, she forgot to wake up or something, I think that's funny.
That would be funny. But next up, you had Mia Yim pick up the victory over Ariana Grace. Yeah. I think the big takeaway was the pair was Ariana Grace with Chelsea Green.
Yeah, beforehand, Ariana Grace was with Chelsea Green, and obviously Gigi Dolan was there. And I thought that was such a funny segment. They have fantastic chemistry there. But it was nice to get a match like this from Mia Yim. Because I feel like it's been so long since we've seen this side of Mia Yim.
Mm.
And Ariana Grace tried to cheat, and the referee saw her holding the ropes, makes her break that. Mia Yim gets the victory. And then later on, they had a segment with, not to spoil it, Chelsea loses, but they had a segment with her and Ariana Grace crying together in the locker room because of their losses. So them together, I think, was what people would call money. After that, we saw the Supernova Sessions with Trick Williams as the guest, and Lash Legend revealed what was in the envelope, which was a photo of Noam Dar's foot being under the rope when Trick Williams pinned him. And that was the victory that led to Trick Williams beating Ilya Dragunov. So they tried to say that the title reign is fraudulent because they are really the ones who gave Trick the oomph to go out there and have that match with Dragunov, the confidence. But this segment continues. It also kind of turns out that Trick Williams and Lash Legend might be dating on screen. And Noam Dar knocked Trick Williams out and held up that championship.
Yeah.
I would be all for Noam Dar being NXT champion, but not anytime soon.
No, I can't get behind that. Not right now. Not
when Trick is as hot as he is.
But
I
see.
I can picture Noam Dar being a really good NXT champion.
I have to disagree for right now. For sure.
Well,
next up, you had Henley pick up the victory over Jordan. Yeah.
This stemmed from backstage where Kalani Jordan was speaking about what Fallon Henley did last week and was like, it's not her. And then Fallon Henley showed up and they argued. And she said she's all about being herself now. And I thought they had a good match. Fallon Henley ends up ripping the turnbuckle pad off, perhaps by mistake. Perhaps she smacked Kalani Jordan in the face with it by mistake. And then Fallon Henley, maybe by mistake, sent Kalani Jordan flying into that exposed turnbuckle. And was able to pick up the victory off of that.
Yeah,
It didn't look like she cheated.
Unintentional cheat to win.
Yeah, I don't like it. Maybe next week they're going to be like, you cheated. What the hell?
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like she cheated.
Yeah.
After that, we had the NXT Women's Combine, which consisted of 4 different categories, but ultimately in order from 1 through 12 as to who placed where in the Combine, and moves on to the qualifying matches next week for that North American Championship. You got Sol Ruka, Thea Hale, Jada Parker, Brynlee Reese, Mia Yim, Fallon Henley, Lash Legend, Ivy Nile, Izzy Dame, Kalani Jordan, Tatum Paxley, and Ren Sinclair. I don't think Ren Sinclair will actually make it to that ladder match at Battleground, but I really hope she does.
Yeah.
I don't know who, I think Sol Ruka has to, Thea Hale has to, Jada Parker has to, Mia Yim has to, Fallon Henley has to. That leaves Lash Legend, Ivy Nile, Izzy Dame, Kalani Jordan, Tatum Paxley, I think, and Ren Sinclair.
That's a lot of people.
I feel like Kalani Jordan might have to also.
Yeah.
But I wish Ren Sinclair was going to be in that, but she's definitely not.
No. Next up, you had Lexis King pick up the victory over Duke Hudson.
Also stemmed from a backstage segment where Ridge Holland was talking to Thea Hale, basically saying that she reminds him of his daughter. And then Chase U showed up, and then Lexis King showed up and made fun of them. And he got into it with Thea Hale at one point. And in this match, he tried to leave, and then Ridge Holland showed up with a chair. And Chase U held him back, but that chair got placed into the ring. And when the referee dealt with that chair, Lexis King was able to take advantage of that as Duke was distracted. And picked up the victory off of that, and Ridge Holland apologized afterwards. Riley Osborne not quite buying it, but Ridge wants to prove himself to Chase U.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that plays off. Next up, you had the main event of the evening. Roxanne Perez picking up the victory and successfully defending her NXT championship against Chelsea Green. Green brought in last week as we saw her meeting with Ava backstage.
Also, Robert Stone had a little appearance before the match with Chelsea.
True.
And I thought it was pretty cool. Obviously, Booker T knows Roxanne Perez. He trained Roxanne Perez. But it was cool to hear them bring up the history between Booker T and Chelsea Green. And how he knew her from Tough Enough. I thought it was also cool Matt Cardona kind of being mentioned by Vic Joseph. Not by name, but he said broski. And then later on in the match, when Chelsea hit the Rough Rider, he said woo woo woo. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I thought this was a fun main event. And originally I wanted Roxanne to go in and just tear through Chelsea Green and have a very, very quick victory. But I'm glad that we got an actual match here, because we don't, like Mia Yim, we don't get to see this Chelsea all the time.
No.
So I thought there were a lot of good moments to make it look like Chelsea could actually win that championship. And I was more than happy with all of this match.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. I thought that this was a solid match. And I like the fact that Chelsea Green, we got to see not just a joking side of Chelsea Green.
Yeah, 100%. This is a fantastic when we get to see both sides of Chelsea Green in the same night as well.
Yeah.
And then NXT closes. You go to the parking lot. The D'Angelo family kidnap Damon Kemp and Miles Bourne. And Charlie Dempsey walked out looking for them. And that's how that show ended. Their debt is getting paid.
And that's how it's done. The debt gets paid off.
So that is NXT. Moving over to SmackDown. It opened up with Nick Aldis, and he brought Cody Rhodes out to discuss who he'll be facing at King and Queen of the Ring. And he brought out the opponent, who turned out to be Logan Paul, which I don't really like that he did nothing to get this, and he's the U.S. champion. I'm sure the match will be fine. I'm sure the match will be entertaining. But I'm also not certain if the U.S. championship is on the line. Logan Paul, well, Cody Rhodes made reference to it, saying if he does win the U.S. championship, he becomes Grand Slam champion. But I don't know if the title is also going to be on the line. I did pop at Logan Paul referring to this as the Logan Paul Levesque era. But I don't want to see Cody Rhodes become U.S. champion right now. So that's confusing, but I'm looking forward to that match because Logan Paul kills it. After that, we saw AJ Styles, and he said that it should be him defending his WWE Championship against Logan Paul, and that the next time he faces Cody Rhodes, he'll win the match. And then AJ Styles main event, so I'll put a pin in that. Nia Jax picked up the victory over Naomi to advance in the Queen of the Ring. Seeing the barricade move, the whole barricade, when Naomi dove onto Nia Jax, I thought was pretty crazy because I don't recall ever seeing the barricade move like that before. I definitely didn't expect Naomi to hit that Hurricane Rana on Nia Jax from the top rope either. I thought Nia Jax was going to reverse it with the powerbomb. So I thought that was pretty cool, but kind of right after that, Nia Jax hit a powerbomb. Then she hit a leg drop and the Annihilator to pick up that victory. After that, Carmelo Hayes picked up the victory over Baron Corbin to advance in the King of the Ring. And Carmelo beforehand made fun of Baron Corbin and asked him when he was even drafted. And he mentioned how Baron Corbin should do like Lashley and pull out of the tournament. And then Baron Corbin goes into this match, starts pretty much in control the whole time. In the beginning, at least. Carmelo took over after the commercial break, but Corbin got right back into it. I like that suplex cutter that he did. But shortly after that, he went for the end of days, and Carmelo Hayes rolled him up to pin. So I think Corbin still looks strong there. And like I said earlier, I'm hoping for a little trade to Monday Night Raw perhaps and get the Wolf Dogs back. After that, Bayley was interviewed, and Kayla asked her about the Queen of the Ring and who she'd like to see win. Bayley mentioned Jade Cargill, and Chelsea Green and Piper Niven interrupted. Chelsea basically said that Piper is going to kick Jade all the way out of the first round of the tournament. And then we go to that match. Jade Cargill picks up the victory over Piper Niven to advance in that tournament. Not a fan of the tag team champions being in this tournament, but I guess maybe they don't have enough women that they feel comfortable pushing in that. I don't know, but I thought Piper and Jade Cargill did very, very good in this, and they both look strong. Chelsea Green at one point hits Jade Cargill behind the referee's back. She gets up on the apron to distract Jade Cargill later as well, but she gets knocked off the apron. Very impressive to see Jade Cargill hit Jaded on Piper Niven. And I honestly think that might have been Jade Cargill's best match. She had that killer match against Chris Statlander, but I really think that was a very good match for Jade Cargill and Piper Niven. After that, her tag team partner, Bianca Belair, came out, picked up the victory over Candice LeRae to advance. And I don't understand why Jade Cargill didn't stay out there. Especially if Indy Hartwell was going to be out there. I don't see how that makes sense. But Indy Hartwell ends up cheating behind the referee's back. Took out Bianca Belair's knee at one point, which affected Bianca Belair the whole match. And she was still able to get the victory. I didn't like that she did the kip up because I feel like why would you risk hurting yourself even more? But she gets that KOD on Candice LeRae and gets the victory. I don't know if it's going to lead to seeing Jade Cargill versus Bianca Belair. That seems like we could see that in the semifinals. Nakamura had a video package basically saying that things on SmackDown will change. We saw video packages earlier for DIY. Andrade had a video package. Blair Davenport also had a video package. So at least they're keeping these names relevant, even though they're not necessarily on television. And then we saw Solo Sikoa speak with Paul Heyman. Paul actually requested one-on-one with Solo Sikoa. And I thought between the two of them, whatever they said, I thought was very good. And he said that he actually spoke to Roman Reigns, even though Paul Heyman hasn't spoken to Roman Reigns since he lost the title. And he said that Roman told him that while he's away, he is now in charge of the bloodline, and Paul Heyman is his wise man now. And then we cut to the next match. Tama Tonga picks up the victory over Angelo Dawkins to advance. Tama Tonga's entrance was dope. All the fire and stuff, I thought that was pretty cool. This was supposed to be Bobby Lashley in the match. He was unfortunately injured during training, so that took him out. Dawkins stepped up. That pouncing shoulder block that Dawkins did to Tama Tonga was dope. But Solo Sikoa got involved, and Dawkins put Solo Sikoa down. Montez Ford jumped out onto the bloodline. And then Tonga Loa and Solo Sikoa took out Montez Ford, which distracted Angelo Dawkins, and that basically ends the match for Dawkins. And then just to add some oomph to that, Solo Sikoa took out Angelo Dawkins with that Samoan Spike. And I liked during that segment where they were all doing the ones, Solo turned around to make sure that Paul Heyman was doing it. Because earlier in their conversation, he mentioned what we spoke about before with Paul Heyman making a gesture of sorts to Jay. And he said, oh, what did you give him a signal that you might need help? So I think that was a good callback for that. But it definitely seems like Solo Sikoa is lying and he didn't actually speak to Roman Reigns. And I feel like whenever Roman Reigns comes back, perhaps we will see a big babyface turn for him where he rejoins up with the Usos to take on whatever new bloodline that Solo Sikoa has built. Main event saw Randy Orton pick up the victory over AJ Styles to advance in that King of the Ring tournament. They, I think earlier in the night, said Randy Orton was the favorite to win this, if I'm not mistaken, but I really don't think he is. It was hard to tell who would potentially win this match between him and AJ Styles, but I don't think Orton's the favorite here. But I liked when Randy Orton went to hit that Hangman DDT on the outside to AJ Styles on the barricade, because AJ Styles ends up reversing that, jumps off the barricade onto the commentary table, and then into Randy Orton, I guess, and Orton caught him, hit that backdrop onto the ring apron, then picks him up again, does the backdrop onto the commentary table, and just to appease the fans who were chanting for it, one more time, he hits him on the commentary table again. I like when wrestlers interact with the crowd like that. But AJ Styles ended up working on Randy Orton's knee throughout the match. And I liked at one point when he was working on the knee, he hit that really nice elbow drop. I feel like we don't see stuff like that often. But Randy Orton fought through the calf crusher. AJ Styles eventually hits the phenomenal forearm, but Randy Orton grabs the rope, breaks the pin. AJ picks him up, goes for the Styles clash, and Randy Orton drops him with that RKO to pick up the victory. Good main event. Pretty good episode of SmackDown. And I will take a quick little break right now, and I will be right back here on Markin Out.
Hey everybody, this is Lex Luger, the Total Package, and you are listening to Markin Out.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Markin Out episode 691. There was no AEW Rampage last week, and Collision got bumped for Star Wars. May the 4th be with you. So there was no Collision either. But AEW Dynamite this week kicked off with Orange Cassidy picking up the victory over Trent Beretta. I truly don't understand why they did this so soon. I feel like since there's a pay-per-view coming up, Double or Nothing, in like 2 weeks, they could have 100%. I feel like that's a pay-per-view caliber match. And I said this the other week, the storyline just seems like you're not letting it breathe. It's just like you're piling things on one after the other. And I feel like this should have been at the pay-per-view. It could still be at the pay-per-view. I'm not sure. But they brawled in the crowd, even though the main event was a no DQ match. So I didn't like that. And the referee really didn't try to stop them or couldn't stop them. And things kind of go downhill. Don Callis showed up and goes to commentary. Trent ends up exposing the turnbuckle. And when the referee was dealing with that, Orange Cassidy fired up, pissed off. He's pissed off with Trent. He also goes and exposes the turnbuckle, uses that to his best ability, and gets the victory there. And then Trent Beretta attacked Orange Cassidy afterwards. He hit a pile driver on the steel steps. He catapulted him into the ring frame. And Orange Cassidy got up, grabbed a chair. As Trent went and grabbed a toolbox, Don Callis separated it. Then Chris Statlander came down to try and break them up. But I wish that the pile driver on the steel steps, took Orange Cassidy out. I don't like that he walked out. But he walked out with Don Callis, and then Don Callis came back out and did commentary for the rest of the night. Taz is out. Unfortunately, he's, I think something with his body is not 100% right now. So well wishes to Taz. After that, though, Serena Deeb came out for an interview. I think, unfortunately, this segment for me fell flat big time. And I really feel bad saying that because she was talking about real life medical things that were happening to her, like very serious medical things. But it just took too long to get to that point. And then Toni Storm got involved and she threw money at her, which fired Serena Deeb up. And Toni Storm went for a cheap shot, but Serena Deeb blocked it and knocked her out in one punch, which I liked the ending of this segment. I just think it took too long to get to where it went. After that, Mariah May picked up the victory over Harley Cameron. I don't think this match needed a commercial break because I feel like Mariah May should have ran right through Harley Cameron. I don't know when the last time we saw Harley Cameron win on television or even wrestle on television, but Mariah May I thought was good in this match, and she attacked Saraya in the match, which led to Saraya attacking her afterwards, and Mina Shirakawa showed up, took out Harley Cameron. Saraya ducked out. She left. So I enjoyed this match. I just wish it was not as long as it was, because Mariah May, I've been saying for weeks, she should be well beyond matches like that. After that, we had the face-to-face with Swerve Strickland, the champion, and Christian Cage, the challenger, and they went back and forth, and Christian was like, oh, they mentioned how they took his dread the other week, and he said, oh, maybe I'll come into that ring and take your teeth. And then the Mogul Embassy show up. Swerve's like, I told you I'm not coming alone. And he challenges Christian and the Patriarchy to get in the ring, only to have the Mogul Embassy beat Swerve down. They powerbomb him through the table. Now who is going to be in the corner for Swerve? You still could assume it's Keith Lee, even though I would hate that. People would pop for that. 100%. But then I think it's 7 if you're counting Nick Wayne's mom. I think that might be 7 on 2. So I don't know what the end game of this is. I don't know if we'll see the Mogul Embassy join with the Patriarchy or what. But I feel like there should be, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. There's I think 2 weeks still before Double or Nothing, so anything is possible. After that, Willow Nightingale was interviewed, and I saw fans earlier in the day and throughout the night really pushing to have, I think they were stating it as if it was fact. I don't think it's a fact. I don't recall ever hearing that, but they were pushing for Mercedes Moné versus Willow Nightingale to be the main event of Double or Nothing. And I really can't see that happening, but I think that'd be a really cool match to have main event the pay-per-view. But Willow basically just asked Mercedes if she's ready for her. And later on, past the time Dynamite was supposed to end, Mercedes responded, which to me, I don't think it really justified airing after 10 p.m. Because Mercedes said what obviously she would need to say in that promo, and I don't think it was bad, but to go over the allotted time of the program for that specifically, I don't think it did anything to boost it, if that makes sense. I feel like that could have been done much earlier in the night, and you shave off time from other segments. After that, Jay White picked up the victory over Rocky Romero. Earlier in the night, Pac was interviewed about the Death Triangle and how Fenix is back. Maybe we'll see a reunion, only to have that be interrupted by the Bullet Club Gold. And they all made fun of the Death Triangle being dead. And I figured because of that segment that we would see Pac show up and cost Jay White this match, which, if Rocky Romero won, he would get a trios title shot, even though Orange Cassidy wants absolutely nothing to do with Trent Beretta. He wants to not be on a trios tag team with him. Rocky's just playing peacemaker here, trying to join the whole team back together. But I was surprised that Pac didn't show up to cost Jay White this match. I thought Rocky Romero and Jay White had a really good match, which really surprised me that this was my favorite match of the night. But Pac showed up afterwards when the Bullet Club Gold started to beat down Rocky Romero. And Pac showed up. The three of them had weapons. They had the titles. A lot of titles. and they still ducked out and didn't even attempt to fight with Pac. Maybe we will see the Death Triangle, maybe we won't. After that, Chris Jericho and Big Bill picked up the victory over Mo Jabari and Harlan Abbott. There's literally nothing you could possibly say about this match. Afterwards, Chris Jericho put Big Bill over. Tony Schiavone informed Chris Jericho that Hook will be there next week. And Jericho's really playing to the crowd like friendly, happy-go-lucky. He knows obviously people don't like him. So it's going to work for him. He'll get booed off of that. But overall, I don't think people want him on TV. Main event of the evening saw Edge pick up the victory over Brody King in a no disqualification match to retain the TNT Championship. He was interviewed at the open of Dynamite, and he just puts Brody King on notice. Malachi Black had a video later on where he just recapped Edge's life and said that he has to prove to the world that Edge isn't really what he says he is. So I think post this feud, we might see a darker version of Edge. More brutish. More Judgment Day-esque. I think that character might have been something that Edge really wanted to work with, so maybe we'll see that in AEW as well. This match, though, unfortunately kind of bored me. We did see a more aggressive side of Edge, which definitely expands on last week with everything that happened with Buddy Matthews, which was a very good part of this segment. I liked when Edge speared Brody King through the ropes, off the apron, through the table. And Brody King was like super busted open for this match. Edge hits another spear to pick up the victory. And then Brody King attacks Edge after the match. Kyle O'Reilly makes the save. And he ends up asking Edge for a title shot on Collision. And Edge agrees, kind of like annoyed at that. Part of me thinks we're going to see Edge maybe beat the absolute hell out of Kyle O'Reilly after the match. Which, kind of unfortunate, but I'm looking forward to seeing that match. I think that's really cool. And then earlier in the night, we saw Kenny Omega in his hospital room, and he sets up Anarchy in the arena for Double or Nothing. Obviously, the Elite versus FTR and two opponents that would make themselves known throughout the night or whatever. And then later on, starting at like 10:03, the Elite come out. They speak. And then finally FTR comes out to introduce their partners, Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson. And to me, there's only three people I think who actually make sense. One being Kenny Omega, one being Hangman Adam Page, the other being obviously CM Punk, not in the company, can't do it. Hangman's out with personal issues, I believe. Kenny Omega injured. So, what the end game of this is, I don't know how it makes sense. I don't know why that would make sense that Eddie Kingston is teaming up with them, or why Bryan Danielson is teaming up with them. Bryan Danielson, I guess you could say, I don't know if it's on TV known that he's part of that committee. I don't know. But this led to a brawl between both teams. That match gets set up for Double or Nothing, and we'll see what's next on AEW. But for now, hey Brennan, got any shout-outs?
This is Droopy Dog, and you're listening to Brandon's shout-outs.
The first shout-out goes to The Idea of You, which is a brand new movie on Amazon Prime starring Anne Hathaway and Nicholas Galestine. It's based on a novel by the same name. Anne Hathaway's character is a 40-year-old single mom who finds herself in a relationship with a 20-year-old pop star. And if you couldn't guess, it's a rom-com. right up my alley. Michael Showalter directed it, co-wrote it with Jennifer Westfield. So if you're a fan of either of their TV shows and movies, I think you would enjoy this movie. If you're a fan of rom-coms, I think this one knocks it out of the park. My next shout out goes to Hacks, which is back for a third season on Max. I honestly just wish that the whole series was out, the whole season, because I would 100%, I would binge that whole show. I'm such a fan of it. And if you're unfamiliar with it, Gene Smart plays a Vegas comedian, and Hannah Einbinder previously wrote for her character, but in season 2 she was fired, spoiler alert, and now she's writing elsewhere. So I like how the story progresses with that. I also didn't realize that Hannah's mom in real life is Lorraine Newman. I didn't realize that she had a famous mom and dad. So I thought that was pretty cool. But I think the show is great. We've had some wrestling references on it in the past. None for this season yet. Maybe not at all in this season. But I think it's a fun watch. Like I said, it's on Max. Check it out. My last shout out goes to Unfrosted. There's so much press.
Frosty content.
I was going to say press. Jerry Seinfeld is
too.
going everywhere talking about press. One of the things he was doing, this, by the way, it's loosely based on the creation of the Pop-Tart. And, which does not seem like a premise of a movie, but it is. And one of the places that Jerry Seinfeld went to promote this film was, I think it was a Rich Eisen show. And he spoke about how NBC took money away from the budget for Saturday night's main event to make the first 4 episodes of Seinfeld. And I thought that was pretty wild to hear Seinfeld talk about wrestling in general, but that story, I thought that was pretty cool. But based on reviews of this film, I fully expected this movie to suck. But it's
Why?
a lot because people are like, this movie sucks.
I
But
guess
it's
that's
like,
one reason why.
yeah, but it's like that Weird Al movie. It's completely like that Weird Al movie where if you go into it knowing that it's not a serious movie, where there
Exactly. That's the thing. Like when I saw the previews of this, I didn't see the movie yet, but they were promoting it like crazy. Yeah, Jerry Seinfeld doing his rounds and stuff. They had a red carpet premiere where even Michael Richards appeared at the premiere for the first time in a public eye, and I think they said 10 years on a red carpet, showing up for it. Yeah, from the previews and stuff, you can tell that this is just like what you mentioned, like that Weird Al Yankovic kind of a style of a comedy, kind of like that old movie, same thing with Weird Al, Hot Shots. All of those movies, this was very similar to that, so I think if anybody went into this taking it a little bit more serious, just went in with the wrong mindset.
Yeah, and I thought it was a funny movie. I was laughing out loud at some points. It's got a super stacked cast. Obviously, we already mentioned Jerry Seinfeld. Melissa McCarthy's in it. Jim Gaffigan, Hugh Grant, and so many more celebrities, so many more actors. There's a funny cameo in it, which I pop for. Knowing about it from pop culture, I never watched what the cameo was. But I know of it because of pop culture, and I thought that was a really funny thing to have in there. But I don't know if they're going to have a sequel to this. I think there's certainly a story told in this film that could form into a sequel. But it's on Netflix. I would say 100% check it out, especially if you like that Weird Al film. So those are my shout outs. Now it's time for our
Mark Out Moment of the Week.
That is right, our Mark Out Moment of the Week.
The crowd.
Yeah, I know you're going to pop for the crowd big time. I think that was a fantastic crowd. I hope that some of those crowd chants, like the phenomenal one, end up... that's the thing. It's like an actual song, I think, so I don't think they can actually put it into 2K25. But if they're able to somehow, I think that'd be really cool to hear that crowd in the video game.
Yeah, I'm totally going with that crowd.
But on the topic of Lyon, France, it is the birthplace of cinema, which they brought up, and I think that's hilarious given how connected that word is to wrestling lately. So I popped for them talking about it on the kickoff show. But also, in regards to WWE's Most Wanted Treasures, I might talk about this as whenever it's on. This week's episode felt more like a we don't know where these items are sort of thing, even though they did know. It was a Triple H episode, and they went to a collector's house to get Triple H's gear from SummerSlam 98. They had the tights and the pads, and they ended up leaving with that, and as a surprise right behind them was also the Rock's trunks from SummerSlam 98.
That's so crazy. Like, I just don't get it.
Apparently, I think WWE auctioned off those SummerSlam tights years ago, and then he bought it from somebody else.
It just doesn't make sense to me how people get their hands on this legendary gear.
And it was cool to see those because that's probably up there as probably my favorite gear that Triple H has ever had.
I would be so pissed if somebody like had my gear and stuff like that.
Yeah, but the WWE used to auction that off all the time.
Huh.
I mean, sometimes they still do. Edge's gear, his last match against Sheamus was auctioned off.
That's just crazy.
That went to charity, but they ended up leaving with the Triple H tights and pads and the Rock's trunks on loan. So they didn't pay for it. It's not officially theirs. It's still owned by the collector. And overall, I just appreciate seeing those those gears.
Yeah.
Especially because like it's an MSG crowd, MSG show. Wish I was there for it. Can't all be lucky, but those are you got any markout moments? Other ones?
No, sir.
Those
Let's
are
take it
the
home.
markout moments of the week. That is episode 692. Thank you so much for checking this episode out. Again, you can follow us on Twitter at Markin Out, at BTTG161, at Chris Sweendog, at CMSweeney85, at DavidPTDPT, Facebook.com/MarkinOut, YouTube and Instagram MarkinOut11, ProWrestlingTees.com/MarkinOut, TikTok is at MarkinOut, MarkinOut.com. You can listen to us there, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, YouTube, and we wish you the
best of luck in your future endeavors.
Have a fantastic week.